David Diehl is here with the Superfly hat. Good morning, David.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Monica. Good morning, Kaz. And Kaz, I got to give you credit. I see that you've parked the tank and no longer the tank commander, but it looks like you got a future in infomercials. You were like Billy Mays selling that contest at that Knicks game. I think you got something in your resume ready to roll. Sham wow, you name it. I think you got it.
Listen, I'm trying to get paid, man. I got two hands and they both look empty and they're itchy. They're itchy. All right. I will take the Billy Mays spot if it's needed. All right. But Dave, let's get into some football. Obviously, the NFC East has been a roller coaster this entire season. And lo and behold, it comes down to the very last week. Even though the Giants lost, there is still a chance that they make the playoffs. But before we get into that, what did you see yesterday afternoon from the New York Giants that has you worried on if they can even make it and beat the Dallas Cowboys next week?
Well, number one, on the offensive side of the ball, becoming one-dimensional. We knew that Daniel Jones coming into this football game was injured, so you got to have a run game to be complementary to the quarterback. The offensive line couldn't get those holes open up, and the big defense and physical front of the Ravens were able to hold off those double teams and let those linebackers run. And then on the outside, when they had opportunities to make plays and get shots downfield, there were times where the receivers didn't break open or get separation, or they had dropped. So actually yesterday, watching Daniel Jones, he played a pretty good game, but around him, the complementary pieces didn't step up and rise to the challenge. And when you get in that position and you're in third and longs an entire game, that's a recipe for disaster when you're facing the Baltimore Ravens at home and Wink Martindale, where he has all those guys standing up at the line of scrimmage, and it's a numbers game in regards to protection and who you're going to try to pick up.
All right, so you're talking about protection. If the Giants win, they give themselves a chance, but Washington would need to lose. The Washington defense obviously is something that has been surprisingly good, I guess, out of the Washington, D.C. area. They have the Eagles next week. They leave the door open. What do you kind of expect to happen between these two division games that will matter?
I think that you're going to see four teams going out there and fight to get that division title. And I know, as you guys were saying in the segment earlier, the NFC East, how up and down and how crazy and sporadic it has been. But the one thing that you do know is that at the end of next week, somebody is going to be claimed a winner. Somebody's going to be hosting a home field playoff game. And when we look back at this in 20 years, they're not going to say, oh, well, the NFC East was just a disaster. That's the reason why they won the title. If you win the title, you win the title. So for this Giants football team to have the opportunity to play at home, to play the Dallas Cowboys, and for Joe Judge to put a signature mark on this season that they were competitive all the way through and could capitalize on the opportunity regardless of the circumstances, says a lot about this football team and the direction that they're going in. Listen, looking at the game yesterday, Baltimore Ravens are a battle-tested playoff team that have been there before. And we know that they have right now on paper a more talented roster than the New York Giants. But with that said, the Giants went out there, fight, scratched, and clawed to try to finish the game with their side, putting more points on the board. The defense didn't quit. And these are all things that you cannot duplicate moving forward in 2021. I know my second season in 2004, Eli Manning's first year starting, we lost 8 straight games until that final game where we had a 2-minute drill where we beat Dallas at home. That game was such a marking moment for our football team to end the season on a positive note, to beat a division rival, but more importantly, know what it's going to take the following year for your team to be competitive week in and week out and be at top of the division, not when we're sitting here scrambling trying to figure out who's a winner.
Yeah,
I hear that, Dave. Just winning, you're in. The two best words that you can ever see in an NFL game. Let's move on really quick. We talked about itchy palms earlier in this segment, and Logan Ryan got his palm itched a little scratched this past weekend. He extended his contract with the New York Giants. Was a Pro Bowl snub. I feel like he should have been a Pro Bowler this year, but he's getting paid like one. What are your thoughts on Logan Ryan and the New York Giants, and especially that defense as being the anchor for them all year?
Yeah. I love the signing on the back end. The minute that he became a New York Giant, not only the leadership that he shows and the communication skills, but you're talking about a player that loves the game of football, that plays with an infectious energy, and is sound when it comes to this scheme that Patrick Graham runs on the defensive side of the ball. going back to his time in New England. So, he came here late at the end of training camp, got implemented into the starting position when Xavier McKinney got hurt. And right away, it took off. The leadership that he promoted and helped for Jabril Peppers, Holmes, and Yadam and all the other guys are things you can't duplicate. So when you're looking at this football team and looking at this Giants defense, this is just one piece of the puzzle that they need to continue to build on for 2021 for this defense to be a continued top 10 team. Because as we saw yesterday in this game up against the Baltimore Ravens, when you on the back end of your defense don't have flexibility between playing zone and man, it really puts you in a bind defensively, and it allows them to stay on pace with their game plan and what they want to do on schedule. Now, if you see a Giants defense in 2021 that can maybe get another shutdown quarter, now you got pieces that can be interchangeable when you're bringing your dime defense in order to hold up against some of these elite receivers in an NFL passing league.
Coach 'em Up, presented by Honda Diehl. Big game this weekend, obviously, for the Giants. They lost to the Cowboys 37-34 back in October. How does Judge get the most out of Daniel Jones in particular, and this entire team for that matter, versus the Cowboys to close the season?
Well, number one, obviously, it starts with a run game. When the Giants offense can get a run game and get play action built off of it, that's what plays to the strengths of Daniel Jones. So that's definitely something that they're going to have to do up against this Dallas defense. But as I said, opportunities are never lost. Someone will take the one that you missed. And right now, standing in front of you is the Dallas Cowboys team that wants to win this football game and have an opportunity to get into the playoffs. And you and I and all of us both know that when you get into the playoffs, it doesn't matter what your regular season record was. It's what you do with the opportunity. You look at the Saints when they went to play the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle when the Seahawks were 7-9. Nobody picked Seattle to win that game, but they believed in themselves, and they were the ones that came out on top. Nobody believed in us in 07 as we got in as a wild card team and had to go on the road for each and every one of those games. But we did. Our locker room did. We were able to look at one another in the eye and hold each other accountable. And that's something that Joe Judge is going to do for this football team. And that's the one thing that we continue to talk about in all the previous seasons past when it came to the New York Giants, whether it was finishing a drive, finishing a quarter, finish the game in the fourth quarter and come away with the win. Those are things that this Giants team in the past have not done. Hopefully Joe Judge sends the statement that this is a way to continue on that momentum, finish the season in a positive direction, and move forward into 2021 with everything looking bright and on the upwards for the Giants.